So there's three things I want to discuss in this video. The first is Putin's bitch had another meeting with the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, and once again, as expected, Putin's bitch did his bidding. Of course, we would expect nothing different. So I want to talk about that. Then I have a tweet from Marjorie Taylor Greene that I want to talk about to make a point. And then finally, the orange criminal buffoon has given the middle finger to his farmer supporters. A big fuck you to all the MAGA farmers, which, if I'm gonna be honest, I kind of rather enjoy. You know, these people are getting shafted big time, and Trump is not even trying to pretend really that he's not screwing them over. So, okay, first, Trump Zelensky. You know, I did a video a couple days ago in which I was mocking Trump. I dragged out the Putin impersonation to make the point that all of this talk over the last week or so about Trump taking a harder stance against Putin, how that was all just bullshit, and once again the media was being played. Donald Trump is never going to break with Putin. He is in fact Putin's bitch. Putin has something on him without a doubt. Trump's own director of national intelligence during his first administration, after having left the Trump administration, openly speculated that Putin has dirt on Trump, because he could come up with no other explanation for Donald Trump's subservient behavior vis-a-vis Vladimir Putin. Anyway, I want to read a little bit of an article here from the Financial Times, setting the stage for this really quick. So Trump made it sound like he was taking a hard stance with Putin. He talked about he was possibly going to give Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine because supposedly Trump was angry that Putin, you know, didn't want peace and wasn't settling this war. And this came on the heels of Donald Trump's massive victory in the Middle East with the greatest peace agreement in world history, which has already begun to fall apart. I mean, who couldn't see that coming? Anyway, after having the world essentially kiss his ass for this bullshit peace agreement, which wasn't a peace agreement, all it was a temporary ceasefire in order to effectuate a prisoner exchange. That's all it was. And after, you know, a few days, they're already fighting again. So, but anyways, after coming on the heels of that, he had all this political capital, or so they were saying. You know, they would say, wow, Trump has all this political capital now that he has brokered this peace deal, and is he going to use this political capital and this momentum to now impose a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine? And then Trump started talking tough about arming Ukraine with Tomahawks, and people said, oh, this is a turning point for Trump. He's going to be tough on Russia now. That's when I issued my mocking video saying, are you people on crack? Trump, have you learned nothing about this man and Putin? He's never going to do anything other than Putin's bidding. Anyway, so Trump actually had a meeting with Zelensky at the White House. It wasn't televised, but we have some reporting on it, and this is the article from the Financial Times that I want to read here. Just a little bit. Donald Trump urged Volodymyr Zelensky to accept Russia's terms for ending its war in a volatile White House meeting on Friday, warning that Vladimir Putin had said he would destroy Ukraine if he did not agree. So here we were told Donald Trump was going to be tough on Putin and maybe even give Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, and here we have Trump pressuring Ukraine to accept Russia's terms. The meeting between the U.S. and Ukrainian presidents descended many times into a shouting match, with Trump cursing all the time, people familiar with the matter said. They added that the U.S. president tossed aside maps of the front line in Ukraine because Zelensky was trying to explain, what was going on in the war, and he had some maps showing him the front lines and everything, and apparently Trump just threw them to the side, insisting that Zelensky surrender the entire Donbass region to Putin, and repeatedly echoed talking points the Russian leader had made in their call a day earlier. And the reporting goes on to say that Trump repeatedly used Putin talking points almost verbatim. He was literally Putin's mouthpiece. I mean, Putin could shove his hand up Trump's ass and literally use him as a puppet, and it would be, pretty much the same thing as happened here in the Oval Office. The official said that Trump told Zelensky he was losing the war and warned, quote, "If Putin wants it, he will destroy you." Trump's belligerent repetition of Putin's rhetoric on Friday dashed hopes among many of Ukraine's European allies that he could be convinced to increase support to Kyiv. I've been saying this for months. I understand they have to play this game. These European leaders, they have to play this game to try to, as much as possible, keep Trump on their side. I understand all of that. But I hope, and I'm pretty sure, I'm sure this is true, they also understand what the nature of the relationship between Trump and Putin is, and that Trump is never going to aggressively oppose Putin in any way. And these European countries, they really need to step up, and they are. I hate that they have to play the game and kiss Trump's ass. I understand that they have to. You just hate seeing it. Anyway, Putin's puppet being Putin's puppet. Why anyone would expect any different is beyond me. It's insanity at this point. Next up, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Changing subject here to the shutdown. We are now, day 20 of the shutdown? Here's what Marjorie Taylor Greene posted on Twitter this morning. She wrote, "The House should be in session working. We should be finishing appropriations. Our committees should be working. We should be passing bills that make President Trump's executive orders permanent. I have no respect for the decision to refuse to work." Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene has broken with Trump, at least in substance, over a couple of things recently. She hasn't gone so far as to criticize Trump directly, but she is breaking with him substantively. She wants, for example, the Obamacare subsidies restored, which is what Democrats are demanding in the shutdown battle. She wants the Epstein files released. She is one of the few Republicans, along with Thomas Massie and Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace, who are signing on to that discharge petition trying to force the release of the Epstein files. So she is beginning, I think, to wake up. She recently called Republican men weak. So she's getting frustrated. She's getting pissed off. She certainly has more courage than most of the others in her party. I don't want to praise her too much because she is, a pro-fascist MAGA at the end of the day. However, what I want to say about this is, despite the fact that she has sort of broken with Trump substantively on some things, she is still playing this game where she has to pretend to be stupid. Now, I'm not saying she's the smartest, person out there, but I don't know if I'd go so far as to call her an idiot. She's certainly smart enough to see that that not everything that Trump has said has been borne out to be true. And she is beginning to question some of this MAGA shit. But when she says here, "I have no respect for the decision to refuse to work," this is clearly a criticism of Mike Johnson. But here's where the willing stupidity is, this game that she's playing. She will not call out Trump directly, and if she was smart in the least, she would know that Mike Johnson isn't doing this on his own. He is refusing to call the House into session because that's what Donald Trump is demanding of him. Donald Trump controls the Republican Party in the House and in the Senate. Mike Johnson, Grinder Mike Johnson, is not an independent actor. He is subservient to Donald Trump and is doing his bidding. So I guess then, by the transitive property, he would be doing Putin's bidding, right? I guess if Putin cared about American domestic policy, if he wanted to, he could control the House of Representatives. The entire Congress, if he wanted to, since he controls Trump and Trump controls Congress. So if Putin wanted to, he could reach in and control Grinder Mike Johnson. But I don't think he is in this case, but Donald Trump clearly is. So this idea that Mike Johnson is the reason the House is not in session, this is where Marjorie Taylor Greene is playing dumb. I mean, maybe she is this stupid, but I don't think so. She knows that Donald Trump is in charge here, but she has to play this game. She can only criticize Trump so much, and she's not going to do it directly. But let's be honest. Let's be very clear about what's going on here. This is an Epstein shutdown. Donald Trump wants the government shut down because it makes it easy to cover up everything in the Epstein files. It makes it easy to cover up his involvement with his best friend, Jeffrey Epstein, and what the two of them did to young girls. Right? That's what this is all about. And as long as the House is closed for business, as long as they're out of session, Grinder Mike has an excuse to continue not to swear in Representative-elect Grijalva. Right? So that's what's going on here. As long as they're not in session, he doesn't have to swear her in. She won't be the 218th signature on a discharge petition, and Trump can keep covering up the Epstein's files. That's what this is all about. Again, I don't think Marjorie Taylor Greene is a genius, but I think she's smart enough to know this. But she's playing the game. That's what this is about. Anyway, the Epstein file is now in its, 20th day? Unbelievable. Now, finally, I want to talk about Donald Trump telling all the MAGA farmers out there to go fuck themselves. I'm going to play you a quick clip here. This is a reporter asking Donald Trump. The question is, because Trump is going forward with this bailout, right, of Argentina. It was initially $20 billion. Now it's $40 billion. By the way, I'm in the car because the weather sucks today. I wish I could be outside, but instead I'm recording in the Pimp Mobile. So I hope the sound is okay and that the rain isn't too distracting. Anyway, so we're doing a $40 billion bailout of Argentina. Of course, yet something else that Congress has not authorized, and Trump is just doing it on his own illegally. Anyway, he gets a question about that. And the question is, what do you have to say to farmers who feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them? And when we say farmers, let's make sure we understand farmers are overwhelmingly MAGA. They voted for this. And this reporter wants to know what Trump has to say to them. And take a look at this video.
Question is, what do you have to say to U.S. farmers who feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them, as they are
Argentina's fighting for its life, young lady. You don't know anything about it. They're fighting for their life. Nothing's benefiting Argentina. They're fighting for their life. You understand what that means? They have no money. They have no anything. They're fighting so hard to survive. If I can help them survive in a free world, I happen to like the president of Argentina. I think he's trying to do the best he can, but don't make it sound like they're doing great. They are dying. All right? They're dying.
What do you mean by being?
So what does Donald Trump have to say to the farmers who feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them? What do you mean more? That implies that this bailout of Argentina is benefiting them in any way. It's not benefiting them in any way. It's not a question of Argentina is benefiting more than them. Argentina is benefiting at their expense. Anyway, so Trump Doesn't deal with that directly. He says, look, young lady, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Argentina is fighting for its life. Doesn't answer it at all. Doesn't address himself to the plight of these MAGA farmers at all. How dare you ask me this question, young lady? You don't know what the hell you're talking about, and to hell with those MAGAs. I don't need their fucking votes anymore. I want to bail out my friend in Argentina because he's going to be helpful to me going forward in some of the things I want to do. I don't need these MAGA fucking farmers anymore. They already voted for me. They kept me out of prison. I'm never running for re-election again. I don't need them anymore. That's what it is. So I hope those MAGA farmers are getting the message loud and clear. And he told them on the campaign trail, he told MAGA, he said, I don't care about you. I just want your votes. Remember that? I guess they didn't believe him. So there you have it, MAGA, especially you MAGA farmers. Donald Trump says, fuck you. And you know what? In that, I will join Donald Trump. And I say to all you MAGA farmers, fuck you. You're getting what you deserve.